Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all so much for taking the time to join us for today's call. My name is Megan Santangelo, and today we are joined by Valor PayTech Senior VP of Sales, Gene Schemberg, as he discusses the benefits of their cloud-based omni-channel payment solutions and conducts a demo of their virtual terminal. As a quick reminder, we will keep the phone lines muted throughout the presentation, so be sure to pull up the chat and Q&A features and submit any questions you may have there so we can address them once Gene has finished his presentation. So Gene, if you're ready, I will hand this over to you so we can get started.
Excellent, thank you. Good morning, everyone. We've got roughly 55 minutes to cover the things that we have here in our Valor PayTech solution. I'm going to start at the beginning and sort of ramp up pretty quickly on the top line features. If I have the ability to turn on my camera, I'm going to show some things on the camera as well, a little bit of show and tell. And then I'd like to try to leave about 20 minutes at the end for Q&A. But if questions do come in on the chat that I happen to glance at while I'm covering a specific piece and the question is relevant, I'll try to answer it then in real time if I happen to see it on my screen. So with that being said, let's just jump right in. I'm going to move around a little bit so it's not a specific linear, I guess, presentation in that respect. I don't use any notes, so every one of these is a little bit different. So if you've sat in on one of these before, I hope to show you something new. If you haven't, I hope to give you enough meat to want you to do something with Valor. So I'm going to start with what you see on my screen right now, which is just the Valor PayTech landing page. And the reason that I start here are there's some things that we've added that I think are really important tools for you to be able to sell our solution. On the Partner tab is a Partner Resource Center. And if you scroll down through here, you'll see that there's images for all of our devices. There's quick reference guides to all of our devices. There's brochures available on all our devices and some of our programs at the bottom, which I realize if you're not familiar, don't make sense now, but they will by the end. And then skipping down here to installation guides, if you have a customer that has a shopping cart and they want to integrate into the Valor ecosystem, there's installation guides available for these 6 shopping carts that we support today. So that's a really important resource to you to be able to answer your own questions, get materials to help your merchants or help you close a sale on any of those things. The other one is the knowledge base. And if I click over in the knowledge base, there's a merchant-facing knowledge base and an ISO-facing knowledge base. And if I click over on the merchant side, again, you'll see there's a table of contents, getting started, information on the portal, quick reference guides, and all kinds of things that are available to you here. These are just 2 really great resources that are available to you on our website. The other one is our YouTube channel. And I have a video queued up to talk about what makes Valor different than maybe some of the other traditional terminals you're used to having available to you. After I show this video, I'm going to show you the channel to see also what's available here. So this is going to take about 1:30. And again, it does a really nice job of sort of teeing up how Valor might be different than other platforms you're used to.
Everything is cloud-based today.
Jean, could you try to share the audio on this video?
That's so weird because earlier you said that the audio was fine. So let me
Yes.
let me try to reshare in the off chance that something changed. It actually isn't allowing me to share audio. Is there something potentially turned off that was turned on before? And I guess technically I could just turn up the audio here and let it play through my microphone.
We have not changed any settings.
That's
I'm
so
looking through the settings right now, and
Well, I'll just crank up the volume here and you'll be able to hear it through my microphone. I apologize for the quality though. Somebody let me know if they can hear it or not hear it when I redo this.
From streaming video to the photos on your phone, everything is done in the cloud. Payments should be no different. Valor is the first platform to take full advantage of the cloud with a true omni-channel solution. When a customer taps their card on the Valor terminal, the encrypted card information is sent to the Valor cloud for processing. It's instantly visible to the merchant, giving them full control of the transaction anywhere on the planet. The result of the transaction is instantly sent back to the terminal, so the customer knows that the transaction has been approved. Terminal-based in the past, they are slow, cumbersome, and rely on the physical terminal's processor, memory, and storage to run a merchant's processing throughout the day. Things like the platform, the interface, the cash discount program, value-added services, terminal updates, and locally stored transactions bog down a terminal to the point where they can crash or give a false tamper error. Cloud-based systems are the future. They are fast, nimble, and use a thin client to communicate with the cloud, where all of the processing occurs. Valor's cloud-based gateway is faster to deploy, faster to update in the field, and you don't have to worry about closing a batch before doing an update, because the batch is in the cloud and not in the terminal.
I'm going to go ahead and stop it there because that sort of gives you the general overview of our platform. Another great analogy that our CEO used recently that I'm going to steal is imagine if you go to somebody's house and they're talking about, and this may even be your house, talking about how they got this great new big screen TV, and you look at the coffee table and there's a TV remote and there's a soundbar remote and there's a DVD remote and there's a DirecTV remote and then there's a Dolby whatever remote and all these different remotes. And they're the only ones that can use their system because nobody else can figure out all the different remotes and what they apply to. When I think of payments today, and I look at the traditional payment systems, I feel like it's the same way. The merchant logs in one place for their card present transactions. They log in another place for their card not present transactions. They log into another place for their shopping cart, another place for their POS. Each time the merchant adds another module to their ecosystem, they have another place to log in and another place to manage when they're doing their system. And Valor is one place. You log into one place and everything you see is under one roof. All the things that I mentioned are controlled in the cloud and all in one place. And I'm going to show you that here in just a second. But before I get out of this, let me show you really quick our Valor PayTech YouTube channel. So when you look at the YouTube channel here, again, it's just Valor PayTech and our YouTube channel, you'll see that there's a variety of videos in here, and we continue to add videos all the time. I was just looking at this, and these two videos were added yesterday. This one 12 days ago, 2 weeks ago, a month ago. So we continue to populate this with new videos, and it's another great resource along with our website to be able to learn about our hardware, our solutions, how to do different things. And these will just continue to be added and grow as we expand these channels. So I'm going to go to the portal right now. Excuse me. This is Gene's Irish Pub. This is my demo account. This is my fake business. It behaves just like a real business, only it doesn't actually charge a card. And if I refresh my screen, you'll see here that I've got a variety of transactions that occurred today. You can see over here on the right which card type they were. You can see this was a contactless EMV. This was an EMV chip card. If I scroll farther down, this was a Pay Now link. This was done through the virtual terminal. If I had a shopping cart or a POS solution, those would be shown here. Basically, when you think about our system, the MID is kept in the cloud, as you saw in the video. How that MID is set up, if it's on a 4% bin-based surcharge program or dual pricing or whatever you have it set up and whatever nomenclature you use to describe it, that MID's in the cloud. Everything that touches that MID has that same parameter, and all those different things are just different ways to interact with the MID. But from Valor's perspective, it's in the cloud, the MID's in the cloud, and it just sees those different kinds of transactions as one universal set of transactions, which are controlled through one single place. And that single place is the portal, which you see right now. And this is just a web browser on my desktop computer. This is Chrome. This could be Safari. It could be a Linux book, a MacBook, a laptop, a PC, a tablet, a smart TV with a web browser. We don't care. As long as you can get to a browser window, you as a merchant can manage your account. There's some great things you can do from this portal as well. So I can, for example, open up the vertical ellipsis here, and I can look at a receipt. This receipt is kept here in the cloud for at least 2 years. In this case, you can see the amount, the tip. There was no cash discount because it was paid with a card, the total. In this case, you can see an itemized receipt with line items because I used our 500 series terminal, which has light POS and light inventory. And I have an itemized receipt and a signature at the bottom. 2 years is more than enough time for a chargeback request. Somebody needs a copy for their expenses. Somebody needs a copy for their taxes. But it's in here and it's easy to find. And the beauty of the platform, again, is because all transactions roll up under one login, the merchant only has one place to look for a chargeback. If they get a chargeback dispute from a card brand, they just have to look it up in one place. They don't have to try to know, was it card present, card not present? Did it occur through the POS? I'm gonna have to log into all these places and hunt for this transaction. In the Valor ecosystem, you can just look in one place and find it very easily. Now, this is the merchant-facing version of this receipt, which carries all the details that you need. The customer-facing version is slightly different, and I'm going to switch over to that. And I had this set to my Google Voice number so I could share it on my screen more easily, so that I'm not having to hold my phone up to my camera. But you can see it's the same amount, same information, same itemized receipt, same signature. But at the bottom of this one, you see an ad for buy one picture, get one picture free. Keeping in the spirit of Gene's Irish Pub, I've given an ad that is relevant to my business. But this is part of the Engage My Customer module. It's part of the Valor ecosystem. This is a billboard that the merchant can use for whatever they want. This can be a SurveyMonkey link, and the image could say, click here to take a survey and win an Amazon gift card. We give out them, in a contest once a month for people who take our surveys. Or click here for a map to the farmer's market where you can find us on Saturdays between 9 and noon. Or free wiper blade installation with purchase. Whatever the business is, this is their space. They can put whatever picture they want here, and they can put whatever link they want that picture to go to when the customer clicks on it. And it allows you to shift the conversation from, not only do we have this great piece of hardware that's never going to lose a batch and you're not going to get any tamper errors from, and we're going to save you money with this great program we have, but we also show you how you can make money using your terminal and how you can use the program. And it's another tool in your toolbox that allows you to give a unique perspective on how to go into that business and get them to switch to your system over a previous system. Because your system not only is going to save them money and help them be a better merchant, but it's also going to help them make more money, which is a great way to help close that sale. Excuse me. I think the seasons are changing here, and it's starting to affect me a little bit. So I apologize for me repeatedly clearing my throat. I'm going to go back to the portal here, and I'm going to close that out, and I'm going to show you some other things that you can do in here. So one of the things I can do is I can open the batch, and I can do tip adjusting. This is another great thing you can do in the Valor ecosystem. Now, you can only adjust tips when a batch is open. You cannot adjust tips when the batch is closed. If you adjust the tips after a batch is closed, those are actually separate transactions. They're not part of the original transaction, and they will show up on the merchant statement and on the customer statement as separate transactions. So you can adjust them while the batch is open, but not when the batch is closed. So here you can see the transactions I ran today, and I can adjust the tips. Imagine how much easier this is going to be for a merchant to be able to see their entire night's worth of transactions on a large screen and just rip down this list and adjust the tips, as opposed to doing them on a terminal one at a time. I imagine, and again, I'm not a restaurant owner, so I don't know this for fact, but I would imagine that this is going to save the business owner some amount of time every evening. Maybe it's 15 minutes, maybe it's 30 minutes, maybe it's longer, depending on how long this process takes. But imagine it's 30 minutes and you're saving that business owner 3 hours a week. So 30 minutes times 6 nights, 3 hours a week or 12 hours a month to be able to save them that time. What's 12 hours worth to them? Is it worth switching to your platform over somebody else's platform? I would think so. 12 hours a month to spend with their family, exercise, relax, pay bills, watch TV, whatever they want to do. Time is one of the resources that is not unlimited, and being able to give someone 12 hours back, in my opinion, would be huge. So in that case, another reason to potentially win that business. I'm going to go back to the transactions again. Other things I can do in here is I can void a transaction if the batch is open. I could issue a refund if the batch is closed. I can send promotional messages. And let's talk about that for a second. If you look down the left side of the screen, you can see these different faces. And that's part of the checkout process, also part of Engage My Customer. And it's a quick litmus test during checkout to be able to see the customer if they're happy or not. And you can see all these customers are happy. But if one of them was unhappy, you have the ability, because they put their mobile number in and had their receipt texted to them instead of printed out, you have the ability to send them a promotional message. And these promotional messages can be pre-configured. Then I'll show you where later in our time. But I can have these different messages that I've created, or I could simply create a new message. And if it's a message that maybe it was a red face, they were unhappy, I've created a sorry to disappoint message, and I can send that to the customer. Again, this isn't a reason that someone's going to sign up for us completely. But if you think about it, if the merchant's looking at their screen and they see a red face, there's a pretty good chance that that customer might trash them on social media. If you send them a sorry, we disappointed you, here's 20% off your next visit, give us another chance, that customer might not post that bad review. They might wait until they come back in a second time and see if that situation's been corrected. But minimally, they're probably going to wait. They might also just be simply impressed that the merchant was on top of their business and sent them that offer, seeing that they were unhappy, and might turn around that bad review into a neutral or good review. So while this isn't meant to be a reputation manager, it's another tool in the toolbox that you can offer a merchant to help manage their business and be better at what they do using the Valor platform. I'm going to move from card present to card not present and move over to our virtual terminal portion of our platform. This behaves like any other card not present platform or gateway that you're familiar with, in that it has all the standard features and functions that you would expect. I'm going to highlight some of the things that I think make us maybe a little bit different or kind of a cool thing for us. And first, I'm going to start with generating a QR code. Maybe Gene's Irish Pub is doing a raffle to raise money for a charitable organization, and they want to do $50 raffle tickets, and the winner gets a year's worth of beer or whatever it is, I don't know. So I hit the process button. It's going to generate a QR code, and now I can use that QR code. I can copy it, and I can put that on a board in my business. I can put that on social media. I can share it whenever I want to, and people who scan that code are going to be taken to a hosted payment page. They're going to pay their $50, and I'm going to see those transactions in my portal in real time as they come in, and I can do my drawing or whatever it is that I want to do. Super simple, easy to use. It's a great, quick and easy way to be able to do that. I can also put in an amount. I can put in my mobile number, and you'll see that a variety of cards have come up to choose from, 3 of which have been canceled, and I can choose the card that's good. I can ask the customer if they want to use the card ending in 3918. They say yes. Ask them for their CVV code to make sure they're who they say they are, and I can run that transaction. I can invoice number or description. If they've given me their address before, the address is already pre-populated. So maybe if I'm a pizza place doing deliveries, I don't have to ask for the address every time, and I can run that transaction simply. I can also set this up for recurring billing. If I want to make this an installment program, maybe it's 5 easy installments of $50 a piece. I can choose when it starts, how often it charges, what the installments are. And in this case, you'll see, as I mentioned before, this account is set up with 4% cash discount or card difference or whatever you want to call the program. You'll see that that 4% has been added automatically in the transaction. Because the MID is set up in the cloud that way, anything that touches the MID you can automatically see that done here as well. And I can process this as a program like that as well. Now, if I don't want to do recurring billing, I have the amount in here. I can add line items. If I have the enable L2 and L3 checked, it will automatically optimize for L2 and L3, whether or not any data has been entered. That only works today on TSYS. So we are in the process of adding that for the other platforms as well, but today it's TSYS only. And you can see by doing that, I enable L2 and L3. If I turn it off, I have the ability to add items to my invoice and create an itemized receipt, similar to the itemized receipt that you saw on my screen earlier when I ran the transactions on the 500. So we do have light POS and light inventory in the system. The inventory is kept in one place, which I'm going to jump to in just a second and then jump back here. But once the inventory is in the system, the inventory can be seen on all the things that connect that have inventory available. Again, it's light inventory, light POS. Let me just jump to it right here, just rather than talk about it and then not show it to you. You can see it right here on my screen. Light inventory, light POS. I can, in the action bar, I can download a sample file, populate the sample file, and then import the sample file so I can upload my inventory in mass without having to be able to do it one at a time. I do have to add the pictures after the fact, though. Those pictures can't be uploaded as part of the spreadsheet. And then there are modifiers. I'm not a business owner. I don't own a restaurant. I know what modifiers are technically, but I haven't used them in our system to know exactly how they work. I just know that they're there. But again, light POS, light inventory. This is great for maybe 50 or 60 SKUs for a food truck, a farmer's market, a service company that offers a dozen different services and wants to have an itemized receipt. You're not going to put a liquor store or a plumbing company with 10,000 SKUs in here and expect this to be effective for them. There's no back kitchen printer. There's no cash drawer support. There's no big, 10-inch terminal screen that shows everything like a normal restaurant POS does. But again, it's free. It comes with the platform. It's going to solve for some percentage of your customers that are going to have a farmer's market or a food truck or a service industry that's going to want to have an itemized receipt and be able to run their tickets like this. Again, it's free. Another tool in the toolbox that's going to help you close some percentage of business that maybe you couldn't close before because it's baked into the system. Go back to the virtual terminal. Other things that you can do in here are e-invoicing. Very cool. E-invoicing can be looked at as one of two ways. E-invoicing can be point to point. I'm going to send one person a text to pay link, and they're going to pay that. Again, maybe in the case of a HVAC company, the technicians all have access to the Valor portal. They've all been given unique user IDs. They're using our mobile app, which is also free as part of our platform. And they've logged into the mobile app. They've entered in their e-invoice information, and from the field, they're sending the customer a text to pay link. Customer pays that. The technician sees in real time that it's been paid. They leave a paid receipt under the doormat, and they move on to the next account. Now, that customer who got the text to pay link might be at home, might be by themselves, and they just don't want to come to the door, or they're trying to be COVID safe, and they don't want to come to the door, or they might be at work, or they could be laying on the beach across the planet. The technician has no idea. They just send the text to pay link, it gets paid, and then they move forward to the next account. Very simple. The other kind of e-invoice is a one-to-many, and this would be what we consider a hosted payment page or a pay now link. So I'm going to click the pay now link. I'm going to make it flexible. I'm going to set it to expire, say at the end of the year, because I'm going to do a different link for 2024, maybe for tax purposes. Pretend that Gene's Irish Pub isn't a pub, and it is a dental office, and it's a dental bill, and I'm going to have the customer potentially click a link to make a payment towards whatever the dental bill that they have received. I'm going to create the pay now link. You can see it's flexible, dental bill, etc. Process that, and that's going to generate a unique link, which I can now copy, and I can embed it in a button. I can send it as a link at the bottom of an invoice. I might email the customer. I can have it on whatever page. whatever it is that I want to do, I can go ahead and create that. I'm going to go ahead and click it so I show you what the hosted payment page looks like. Obviously, it would have the dental office at the top, not Gene's Irish Pub. I'm going to put in $100 because that's the amount of payment that I'm going to make. You notice at the bottom it says pay now 104. Again, that 4% was added to the transaction automatically because the MID in the cloud is set up that way. So everything that's done to that MID has that same parameter. I'm going to put in a card number, make up a CVV code, put in my phone number, and I'm going to go ahead and make that payment. And you'll see that that goes through. And then I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Close this out. Go back to my page. Open up my portal. And you'll see right here at the top, virtual terminal transaction, $100, cash difference of $4, dental bill paid for by Gene Schenberg, so I can account for that in my system. Before the end of the year, which is coming up quickly, by the way, in the next 6 weeks, we expect to have QuickBooks integration. So not only will you see it here, but they'll be able to suck all this data into their QuickBooks and be able to reconcile their accounts very easily. Somebody else just asked a question, which I'm going to go ahead and answer, and that is there an automatic card updater? The answer is yes. We've just recently added that. So if the customer is set up on a credit card with an installment plan or a subscription, and that card potentially frauds out and is replaced, we will automatically update that card number in our system, and that should go through seamlessly with the card being updated. But again, you can see the transaction here from the hosted payment page. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in here that's of significance to show you. I'm not able to share my screen, so I'm not going to show you Valor Connect, but Valor Connect is a program that allows you to initiate a transaction here on the screen and have the transaction complete on the physical terminal. If I check down and choose which terminal I want to connect to, it allows me to be able to initiate a transaction here and have it show up on a physical terminal someplace else, and technically anywhere on the planet for that matter. Another example of that might be a dental office again. Somebody's sitting at the main counter, they're checking people in, they're the ones sort of controlling the computer system. In each cleaning room, there's a Valor portable terminal, and that person in the main room is sending the payment to each of those rooms as the customer's reaching the end of their cleaning or their session. Customer can take that while they're sitting in the chair, maybe while they're waiting for their x-rays or whatever it is, and get those transactions done in real time, being directed from somebody sitting at the main office in the virtual terminal, sending those transactions to those different places. I'm going to show you a couple other things here, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A. The other thing I can do in here is engage my customer. And I talked about that a little bit earlier. And by going to the Engage My Customer tab, I can see every phone number of every customer that's ever been in my business and use the I'd like my receipt texted to me option. And from here, I can choose the select all message, and I can blast out a promotional message. Now, these again are messages I pre-created. I'm going to show you where that's done. Or maybe it's a new message that says, due to the water main break, our dining room is closed. Please click the link below to order online for curbside pickup. Thank you. I hope I spelled it correctly. Thank you. So I just created that message. It's going to 50 customers, and I can now send that out and let them know our situation. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that because I'm not sure who used my demo portal, and I don't want these random messages going just to random people. Somebody might have used it at a trade show or whatever. But I can do that and blast a message out to everybody, or I could be more discerning and I can choose some rules that we have in the system to fine tune or how I want to do that. So anything that's bolded or underlined, I can change. Loyal customers, lost customers, high spenders, customers who come in a certain time slot. I can come in here and anything bolded or underlined, I can change. Maybe it's 4 times in the last 60 days, save that out. Go back here, filter for my most loyal customers. And I'm my most loyal customer because I'm the one who's doing the demos in my portal. I can select all, whether it's 1 or 1,000, it doesn't make any difference. And I can choose to send a message. This time I'm going to send a campaign promotion. The only difference is the campaign promotions include a graphic image. And I'm going to show you that here in just a second. I'm just going to pick the one at the top of the list, but these are all the ones I've created. Actually, let's do the Thanksgiving feast one instead and send that out. And I've now sent that message out to all the customers that fit in that criteria. The promotions are created in the promotions tab. You can create these from scratch, and then you have them as a library to be able to pull up and use going forward. This is the Beer Cafe promotion I showed you at the bottom of the text receipt. It just goes to Google because I don't have a real business. But again, it can go to a survey page, a map page, a coupon page, a social media page. It's really limited only by the imagination of the merchant and how they want to use this particular real estate at the bottom of their text receipt. In this case, I have it set to never expire. I can unclick that and I can start and stop these whenever I want to if I want to create campaigns, for example. The SMS templates are just simply text-based templates. Here's that sorry to disappoint message I've referred to a couple of times in our session. And you can see that's in here. I've pre-created that, so I don't have to retype this over and over again, like that water main break message I sent you. And then I have MMS templates, and these are the ones that are done with a graphic image. That Thanksgiving feast message I sent you, sent me and showed you is this one right here. It's an MMS message, it's got a text message, and it has a graphic image. And again, I can create these however I want to as a merchant, and then have these in my library to choose from. If I've been using this platform for a year and I've been creating holiday messages, I now have an entire library to choose from, and I merely need to tweak that message. I don't have to reinvent the wheel every time there's a holiday that comes up. If I switch over to my Google Voice, where I have my messages on the screen, you can see here's the Thanksgiving message that I texted out, and the graphic and the message at the bottom. If I go back to this one, there's my card transaction. If I go to this one, you can see down here, here's the we're sorry we didn't meet your expectations, and the message that's offered here as well. So I use, again, my Google Voice number so you can see them on my screen like this, and I don't have to hold my phone up to the camera. But you can see that's what these messages look like, and they're formatted properly for whatever screen you're on. So here it's obviously big because you're looking at a full screen of real estate. If we're on a phone, it would be scaled smaller as appropriate. So that covers the sort of the top line features of the modules. The other things that we have in here are a card vault. The card vault is exactly as you would think. It's where the numbers are vaulted and saved and stored. So if I'm collecting a card here, and I have the vault customer, I can pull up the vault customer and pull up all their information. I can also save the information in the vault when it's used for the first time. So imagine a health club where a customer has come in and they've presented their card because they're paying $10 for a 7-day trial. And at the end of the week, they want to convert that into a monthly subscription. The merchant can pull that up from the vault and use that number without, again, the customer or the card needing to be present because it's vaulted. Vaulted numbers are automatically updated using the card updater as well. So it's a great opportunity there. I'm going to show you one other thing. I realize we're at 9:39. I said I'd give you 20 minutes for Q&A, although I've been sort of trying to monitor the questions that have been coming in, and I haven't seen any new ones. So actually, this would be a great time to tee that up. I'm going to show you one set of features in here on how the merchant can make changes to their terminal and how easy it is to make those changes. But this would be a great time if you have questions to start putting those questions in the system so that we can answer those here in just a second. So I'm going to go down to my Valor 110. And I guess maybe let's take a minute and let me go through that real quick. Because everything we do is cloud-based, all of our terminals have Wi-Fi as their base connectivity. In fact, let me go back here and do this and go back to the Valor system and just show you our products right here. So all of our terminals are Wi-Fi as a base connectivity. Our countertop terminals, which are 100 and 300 terminals, the 100s are merchant facing, The 300s are customer facing. It's a standard pin pad. Everything's color touchscreen. Have Wi-Fi and Ethernet. The 110 and the 500 series terminals are portable terminals. They're for pay at the table, curbside pickup, farmers markets, food trucks, any place you want to do anything like that. Those are Wi-Fi and SIM card, and they also include a battery. The Rocket, which is this one you see down here, I'm going to click download and hope this works. Nope, it's not what I expected. You can see it on the screen. It's roughly the size of a pack of playing cards. That's our Bluetooth EMV reader. It's not a tiny calculator. Those buttons are for PIN debit and EBT. And to the best of my knowledge, we're the only solution that does PIN debit and EBT on a Bluetooth reader through your mobile phone. And that's what that device is. All of our devices also are fully NFC capable, so you can dip, tap, or swipe on all our devices. When you tap, it's Google Pay, Samsung Pay, Apple Pay, Garmin Pay. If it's an NFC wallet, chances are we support it. That can be done across all of our devices as well. So that covers our terminals. So I'm going to open up the VL110. Notice I'm logged in as Gene's Irish Pub. So as a merchant, I'm able to log into any of our terminals and edit the parameters. Now, I have a limited list of things I can do. I obviously can't change the parameters that were set up when the merchant was boarded. So I can't change the interchange rate or the payment rate or any of those kinds of things. But I do have the ability to adjust my tips, tip on receipt, smart tipping. Now, this is kind of a cool feature. I can either tip on a flat percentage, I can tip on a flat dollar amount, or I can do variable tipping. And when the amount is less than $25, use dollars, over $25, use percentages. This is a great feature if I may be an ice cream shop, somebody's buying an ice cream cone, cone's $5, you could tip $1 to $4. People will tend to tip higher that way as a percentage. If I'm buying a bunch of ice cream to go and the bill's 50 or $60, I can tip a percentage. So it's kind of a cool thing to be able to do that. Other thing I can do in here is server clerk setup. We have detailed tip reporting in the system. So I can set up servers. I can require each ticket being done to have a server ID. That when the tips are entered, I can generate a detailed tip report at any point during the day, shift change, batch close, wherever it is, and be able to pay out the tips using detailed tip reporting. Again, these are kind of standard features that you would expect, but just to make sure that you understand, we have all those things available to us in the system. Any changes I make here, I can do in real time. I can save these out. The merchant merely presses *6 on the terminal to update the parameters. It can be done in real time during the day. And because the batch is in the cloud and the batch isn't physically in any terminal, I don't have to close the batch for updates. Because if normal systems, if the batch is in the terminal and you do that, you'll lose the batch. In our system, because the batch is in the cloud, I can update the terminals as often as I want and never affect the batch. No batch gets lost in that scenario. So I think I'll stop there. It's 43 minutes after the hour, depending on your time zone. Here it's 9:43, and open it up to Q&A. So do we have any questions that I didn't answer throughout the demo that I can answer now?
Hey, Gene, it looks like we've got quite a few in our QA section. Some you addressed throughout your presentation, so I'm just scrolling through here.
Sure.
We have a question, a two-part question. Outside of food trucks and farmers markets, would you suggest any other industries or merchants that this would work best for?
So I'm guessing that question was asked at the time I was talking about the portable devices and the inventory and POS perhaps, but our terminals are good for all industries. We have them in small businesses, convenience stores, mom and pop restaurants, service industries. Pretty much every industry that's out there in some form or fashion is using Valor terminals. I was referring to food trucks and farmers markets merely for the portable terminals, simply because you can take the terminal out in the field with our SIM card in it and use it anywhere. But again, it's really only limited to the imagination of you when you're selling and the merchant who's using it. Fireworks stands is another place the portable terminals have been used very effectively. But again, we service all businesses, all types. and again, it's really just limited to the imagination of you as the person selling it to the business you're selling it into, looking at all the things that we have and crafting a solution that would work for them. And then the merchant. And I guess another analogy I might use is for those of you that have been in this business for a long time, imagine years ago, you went into a pizza shop and you said, kind of look at your statement, and you do a statement analysis and you say, hey, I can save you some money if you switch to my terminal. And they put the terminal on the counter. A month later, another agent comes in from a competing company, says, let me look at your statement, and switch to me. And that just goes on until there's no margin left in the account. But it's just a terminal on a counter, and that's all you sold them. So that was simply all that was done. But when you look at today's business, that pizza shop might have added a pay at the table. So you've offered them a wireless terminal, or they're doing curbside pickup, or maybe they're doing online ordering and you've integrated that with your system in a shopping cart, and you can do that with Valor. As the business grows and they look for different things to expand their business, Valor's always there and always a solution to sell them. And as you add each of those different tentacles into their business to connect to, it's that much harder for another competing company to come in and take that business away, because now there's so many connections and there's so many ways that you do business that they potentially have to undo. And the most important one, the golden handcuffs, are the Engage My Customer module. And in the Engage My Customer module, where you're collecting mobile numbers and they're making money, they have to give all of that up and start over to go someplace else, because you cannot export those phone numbers to another system and start doing text-based marketing from another system. The corollary of that is you can't import numbers from another system either. And the reason for that is for TCPA compliance. When you on the Valor system are agreeing to get that message, it's a specific consent to get a message from that business on that platform. And you can't take that someplace else and have that approval automatically transferred. And that's just part of TCPA compliance. And I could talk about that more later. All right. I've seen some questions on eGift certified. We do not have your gift card program certified yet. I'll give Christian credit. He asks me pretty regularly for that. So it's on us. It's not on you. We're in the process of finalizing our EPI certification with you now. And as soon as that's done, the eGift card will come. So I'm going to imagine that is a 2024, hopefully first half solution that we'll be making available to you. And of course, we'll announce that when it's ready. Any other questions? Question came in is, do we support crypto? Not yet. It's something that's on our roadmap. We'll probably have that next year. It's not anything that's going to be a huge profit center for anybody. You guys can't make really any money on processing crypto because it's through a third-party system. So it's a service that we are going to offer. There might be a way to monetize it on a per transaction level, but nobody's going to be retiring on that. It's often asked for, seldom used, but it is something we're going to be adding in 2024. And when we do, we'll announce it. I guess one of the things to keep in mind also is that we have roughly 200 developers in our Valor ecosystem who are doing development for Valor 100% of the time. And it gives us the ability to be pretty nimble and do lots of things on a regular basis. Every 2 weeks, you'll see tweaks to the system, minor features added, minor changes, minor updates. Every 2 months, you'll see major things added. But literally at least 6 times a year, we have major rollouts with major updates and major changes. The card updater was the one that just came out in the last round. QuickBooks will be one that comes up in this next round. Let's see, does the portal alert a merchant to chargebacks? No, there's no messaging system that lets someone know there's a chargeback. Typically, those happen, at least in my experience, there's a letter that's generated. The merchant has to defend a disputed charge, and then they get a written response to know whether it's been granted or not granted or supported. And then is there a per cost for text Engage My Customers? Another great question. I don't normally answer pricing questions, so I'm going to say right now there's no charge for that program. We offer that for free as we continue to work out the Engage My Customer module. We're adding more features to that module. Card linked loyalty will be coming to that module, and we're going to continue to flesh that out. When the modules, we sort of adopt a crawl, walk, run analogy to these different modules that we're adding. And I'm going to say that Engage My Customer is still at the crawling stage. Text-based marketing is great, but it's not as good as a card-linked loyalty program where you can assign points to dollars and rewards and things like that. When that becomes available, sometime in 2024, we reserve the right to charge for that module, but we'll work that out with your management structure. That'll be announced well in advance. So if people are using it for free, they can choose to opt out later if they want to, so that nobody's stuck. But we'll go ahead and roll that out sometime in 2024, maybe 2025. Until then, it's free. And we'll make sure that there's at least a 90 days advance notice if we ever decide to charge for it. Christian, I saw a message come up that you answered, so I'm guessing I don't need to answer that to the group. Somebody asked if there's demos for Valor equipment for sales agents. How do you go about scheduling a demo? So I don't do demos for individual merchants or individual agents. I simply don't have the bandwidth. There's 45 people on this call, so it's much easier for me to do this for 45 people and have you record it, make it available for the agents that weren't available today. To try to do 45 individual demos would literally kill my schedule. So recorded demos available, the videos on the YouTube channel are available. Hopefully we've empowered you enough to be able to learn the platform and potentially demo it for a merchant. We do have demo accounts, however, and I'm going to ask you to coordinate that through your management team on how they want to distribute those demo accounts, whether they want to create a master demo account for agents and then give user accounts the ability to log into that one demo account, or want to create individual demo accounts. I'm happy to put that program in place. I'm just going to leave it to your team to decide how you want to deploy that. And, you know, Christian, feel free to reach out to me afterwards on how you want to do that.
No problem. They can contact ISO support to see if they want any demos for themselves.
Sure, and I'm happy to work with you on however you want to deploy that in the most efficient manner.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure. And speaking of which, you know, you're sort of your company's resident expert when it comes to Valor. So I'm going to put the pressure on you for just a second and say, is there anything that you know our system does from your experience that you think that they would benefit from that I didn't show on this, since we have a few minutes left and it seems like all the questions are answered?
In the whole scheme of other companies doing somewhat of the similar things, I think Valor has a very unique way and very simplistic way for anyone to really just use these products and be able to manage them very quickly. And the resources that you guys have online is also very beneficial for all the agents out there. So I think that's what sets you guys apart.
Awesome. Is there any feature that you can think of? There's like, dang, I wish Gene talked about this, or he forgot to cover that? Or do you think this has been, I'm not asking for a compliment. I'm asking you, I'm basically looking for if I missed something, this is a chance for me to catch it, since we're sort of at a lull before we potentially wrap early. I see
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
there was one, and I just wanted some clarification on it when it came to tip sales after the closed batch. There was, I believe you said something about running the sale after the batch is closed. Is that something that can be done on the gateway, or would these ISOs need to contact our support team to grab that specific card number to rerun those sales?
No. So if the number is vaulted in the system and it's saved, they can pull that card up and run a transaction after the batch is closed. They just have to understand that it's a separate transaction. Once the batch is closed, particularly if you're doing dual pricing or bin-based surcharge or any of those things, I'm not a compliance expert. I don't play one on TV. I can't actually give you any compliance advice. But from my understanding, the customer has to be able to see what they're paying at the time of the transaction in order for it to be considered a legal, viable transaction. So if you go back in and do a tip after the batch is closed, that's not a transaction that the customer is going to recognize in the normal environment. So you can't just go in and do that. You can adjust it when it's open, but not when it's closed. And when it's closed, it shows up as a separate transaction because that batch is batched out already. So if the customer bills $100 and they put in a $20 tip and the batch is closed, you can't go back in and open a closed batch that's been settled and paid and all that kind of stuff and just change the amount to 120. It's a $20 transaction that occurs the following day on that card that the customer might recognize as the tip, but you can't go back in and open a closed paid settled batch and put $20 in there. It's a separate transaction. But if the card's vaulted in our system, the merchant does have the ability to call that up and run that $20 charge on a subsequent day.
Ah, okay. I guess the kind of verbiage where I'm not used to, so I apologize, is the vaulted version verbiage that you're talking about.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's just a feature in here where you can see on the left side, add a customer, list a customer, or if the transaction's in here, you can call up a vaulted customer. So as long as the card number's saved, you can call it up.
okay, because in some of these instances, it's a sale that is run on the VL100, and it's seen on on the reporting side, and then it gets closed. So if it's not vaulted in any sort of way, you're saying it won't be possible for it to adjust that tip. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
That's fine. And then somebody asked right now, and I'm showing you on the screen, can the batch time be changed? And in this case, I opened up the VL100 and I set the batch out to be automatic, and I'm going to pick the time to be 2 in the morning. And in this case, I can automatically set the batch, or I can manually set it. If I'm a restaurant, I might want to manually batch because I don't want to close the batch until after I've done my tip adjusting, whether it be in the portal or the terminal. But I can set it to auto batch when it auto batches, and the disposition of the terminal is completely irrelevant at that point because it's just going to close from the cloud because the batch is in the cloud. So the batch is kept in the cloud along with the mid, so the devices could be turned off, busted, wherever they are where they can't potentially transmit because it's batching from the cloud, not from the physical terminals themselves. Somebody asked if there's a tablet for restaurants. Right now, when you looked at the screen I showed you, these are all the devices we have. They're all standard countertop desktop terminals. I think you will see in 2024 some new form factors, but I'm not prepared to disclose what form factors those are, but you will see some new hardware coming from us next year. We only have a minute or two left, so, and I don't see any new questions or anything come up. So I'm going to go ahead and stop now and thank everyone for taking time out of your day to spend it with me and allow me to show you our platform and our solutions. If you have any questions that you think of later, please funnel those through your management structure, and then they can send me those questions in mass. And then when I answer them, everybody will know the answers going forward. But thank you very much for your time. Christian, anyone else have anything they want to say before we wrap today?
Thank you, Jean. We all very much appreciate your time and your presentation today. As Jean mentioned, if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out to our ISO support team. You can reach them at our toll-free line, 800-966-5520, option 5, or simply by emailing isosupport@electronicpayments.com. And just one last tidbit to add, we are going to be taking a break for next week for the Thanksgiving holiday. It's a short week, but we'll be picking up our Webinar Wednesday series on Wednesday, November 29th. So feel free to check out our sponsored events page at electronicpayments.com/sponsored events and register for those in advance. Once again, Jean, Christian, Eric, thank you all so much for your time, and we'll talk to you all soon. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.